This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to be talking about lifting weights, weight training. I used to know nothing about this apart from watching like World's Strongest Man competitions once a year on the TV. They used to be on around Christmas, didn't they? And if I ever thought about weight training at all, which I didn't, I thought about huge blokes, in big belts, pulling lorries and lifting massive things, and that's what weight training was. Or it was something to do with bodybuilding and taking steroids, and it was something to do with a lifestyle that was nothing like mine, and really nothing that I would ever be involved in. And then I started to date someone who does weight training and has done powerlifting competitions, and I got a different viewpoint on it. And I also at the same time had heard some people talking on podcasts and had just heard some messages about how good weight training is for general health. So I started to get that message that there was something about it. It was one of the forms of exercise that could be really beneficial. And last year, so probably about 9-10 months ago, I started doing it. I got myself a personal trainer and I see her once a week, and I started doing weight training. And my goodness, what a revelation. It's probably one of the few things that I do get a little bit evangelical about. I do tend to tell anyone who will listen, this is something that I think you should try, because it has benefits to health that I had no idea about. We'll get onto that a little bit later on, but it really is about so much more than building your strength, even though it's absolutely about building your strength. So what kind of stuff do? I do all kinds of training. My personal trainer, she puts me through my paces every week in the gym. So I do cardio as well. But when it comes to lifting heavy shit, as she puts it, as we all sort of refer to it, lifting heavy shit and putting it back down again, I do deadlifts, I do bench press, I do push press, I do hip thrusts, what else do I do? I'm going to remember loads of other stuff I do. Back squats. Basically picking up really heavy stuff in different ways and seeing how much of it I can lift for how long, and importantly, with what technique. Because you don't want to just, anyone who's lifted a child out of a car seat at an awkward angle will know that you don't just want to lift stuff. You want to lift it properly. And that's really important too, being aware of your body and how to make it function to its best. So rather than just give you my take on this, I went into a Facebook group I'm a member of with other people who train at the same gym and asked them why they lift weights, because I wanted to see if they said the same things as me. I wanted to get a bit more of a consensus on why we do this. And their responses were brilliant, really interesting. A lot of things that I thought they would say. And I'll share with you just a few of the themes. So the theme that comes out the strongest, way above anything else, is confidence. And I'll tell you what, it is pretty difficult to have low self-esteem and imposter syndrome and not very much self-confidence when you're standing there with a weight held above your head. It's like, I mean, I could try to feel small and insignificant and a bit rubbish, but it's pretty difficult when I'm stood here going, I just lifted this over my head. It's just one of those things. It is absolutely incredible for confidence and self-esteem. Just to push yourself and find out what you can do. To feel physically strong, somebody did say, I like the fact I now have a mentality that nobody can mess with me. There's a confidence in that. But mental strength as well. I can do something hard, and I can do something that's hard enough that it becomes easier. And then I can do something that's harder, and then that becomes easier. It's incredible for building confidence. We call it weight training. It really is confidence and self-esteem training, self-belief. So that came out really strongly that that's the thing that all of these women get from lifting weights. The other thing that came out very strongly, which I'm sure any of you who do regular exercise will recognise, is the endorphins, just the lifting of the mood. One woman said, you're lifting more than a weight, you are lifting your mood. And that's very true. It does give you a high, it gives you a buzz. I usually get about halfway through my training session and just fantasizing about burgers. And then by the end of the session, I'm on such an endorphin high, I don't need to eat anything. I suddenly lose that drive for, I must have a Big Mac. It's like, nope, don't need one. I feel amazing. So the endorphins and the mood lifting, which, you can get from lots of different forms of exercise, but it's a real plus that it just will always lift your mood. You're not going to come away from a session feeling like crap. It just, your body doesn't work that way. People talked about pushing barriers, having something in front of them that looks impossible, feels impossible, and pushing that and overcoming it, which again, it's such a lesson for life that we can do that. Stress relief, 100%. Feeling powerful, which, again, goes along with the confidence thing, just feeling that power, feeling that you have power. And then having the physical strength for parenting, because a lot of us are parents, and just being able to continue lifting up our kids when they get to a certain age and size, and play fighting, wrestling with them, if they're boisterous, they want to be lifted. And it's hard sometimes, and it's really satisfying I can still lift my 11-year-old who's he's not a small boy. I can lift him with no trouble at all, and it feels really good. So just a few little quotes specifically from people in that group. I particularly liked this one actually, because it was just a little bit of a different take, although very much along the same lines. One woman said that feeling strong is incredibly important for me, as there have been times in my life when I felt low and very broken, and doing weights makes me feel strong. So there's a healing element to it. If we have at times in our lives felt low, weak, perhaps fragile, there really is a real healing to growing that actual physical and mental strength, and feeling it grow and noticing it grow can be incredible. My trainer herself popped some ideas in as well. She said that she lifts weights to push through those barriers. She said, I think this helps you in other areas of your life too. Push through the barriers, keep going, and see just what you can achieve. You are training your drive and your discipline as well as your muscles. And training that discipline, that's a really important one for all of us. But as ever, I come back to thinking about business owners. We have to be disciplined. A lot of this stuff we're doing on our own, and it feels heavy. This is heavy stuff we're doing in our lives. And to be able to push through that and be disciplined enough to manage it and face it is huge. Now, the other thing that came out very strongly, and I would say this is really my reason for doing it, this is why I started, I think I probably have other reasons now as well, but why I started is future-proofing my health, increasing quality of life in later years. Nicola, my trainer, pointed out that most lifts mimic some kind of functional daily movement. They exacerbate it because they give you weights to hold while you're doing it, but it's kind of getting up from seated, lifting things from the ground, just maneuvering yourself in some fashion. And I think a lot of us would agree that we want to be physically functional in old age. These days, if we're fortunate enough, we can live to a ripe old age. There will be grandchildren, there might be great-grandchildren. We want to be able to play with them, lift them up, get on the floor with them and get back up again, get out of our chair. One woman said, I don't want to have someone help me go to the toilet. I don't want to have a stair lift whenever I do leg work. I think, yep, this is future-proofing me against getting a stair lift. Hopefully, we can only do what we can, and the future holds what it holds. But it's probably the most useful thing you can do to future-proof your health. So rather than thinking, what can I achieve this year? It's about, if I do this now, where will my health and physicality be in years to come? And how can I maintain that? Now, I have no evidence for what I'm about to say, so I'm just throwing this out here. You do your own research, but I have heard I've heard a number of people also talk about how weight training can be helpful guarding against all kinds of things, from osteoporosis to diabetes to, it has other health benefits to your body within, as well as the sort of outer shell of the musculature. So it's well worth looking into for sure. So what's the bullshit element to it? Well, I think really it's something that people worry about when they hear that you're going to be doing strength training. They worry, if you're a woman, that you're going to start looking like some kind of bodybuilder. You're not going to look feminine. You're going to have these crazy muscles and look really bizarre. No, it's bullshit. It really is. The only thing I have noticed that all these women have in common, and this is going to make me sound weird because it's going to make me look like I've been looking at people's asses. I'm just going to push on through with this one and carry on with what I was about to say. But all these women have one thing in common, which is they have a fabulous ass. I'm sorry that I've noticed that, folks, but it's true, because it just gets toned. It just gets toned if you do weight training. But everything else, you retain your body shape. You're still you. You're not going to suddenly become a completely different person. You certainly don't stop looking like a woman, whatever that might mean to you. I have seen women lift incredible weights. And when they walked in, I didn't think, oh, she looks a bit butch, she looks a bit whatever it might be. They just, look like admittedly healthy, but they just look like a person. And then, wow, the strength blows you away. It's absolutely incredible. Which brings me on to the fact that nobody, in all of these discussions about why we lift weights, nobody talked about losing weight. Nobody talked about changing the shape of our bodies. And I think that part of that is because when you lift, your mindset about your body really changes. It's no longer about becoming smaller and taking up less space, which is what a lot of exercise is about, because we do it to lose weight, to lose bits of ourselves. It becomes about getting stronger and more powerful and taking up more space, not necessarily by getting bigger, but just by standing there in your power and saying, I can lift this. And quite frankly, I don't care what I weigh anymore because I am strong and awesome and incredibly sexy, and me being smaller is going to have no effect on how attractive I am or how I feel, because, it's not about that. It's about the strength and confidence, which I love about it. I love that it's not about trying to become less of ourselves. It's really about becoming more of ourselves. If there is a mindset block, and I think there is, that would be that a lot of people will feel how I used to, which is that they couldn't possibly do it because it requires strength that they don't have. Now, of course, there's a caveat that you may have physical difficulties, you may have challenges, you may have reasons why lifting is going to be particularly challenging for you. Even in those circumstances, though, there's a lot of ways it can be modified. But if you have a physically able body, you don't have any particular physical challenges that are out of the ordinary, you can lift things. Open up a cupboard right now, take out a couple of cans, lift them above your head. There you go, your weight training. And all you have to do is just make those cans heavier, bit by bit. You don't start with a loaded bar and somebody saying, lift it up. No, you can't. Well, you're rubbish then. That's not how it works. So there's no reason you can't do it. That is a mindset block to get over for sure. So yes, I would say that it has been incredible for me because it gives me the peace of mind that I'm doing everything I can to stay fit and healthy for all the things I want to do in the future. And it really does change your confidence, which is a huge thing for me because I love to see people gaining confidence, and we know what effect that can have on the rest of our lives, everything in our lives, if we have more confidence and self-belief. So I promised I was never going to say anything along the line in these podcasts along the lines of you must go out and do it. You don't have to. You can do whatever you like with your life, as always. But it is the one thing that if you asked me, I would say I would recommend giving this a try. And just take up space, be bigger, be stronger. You don't have to stay small to belong and be attractive. Just stand in your power however you can. And the best way I have found to do that is by lifting weights. So, until next time, be excessively kind to yourself, especially if you've just had a weight training session. And remember to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. Speak to you next time. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. If you enjoyed the episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a review. And don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are up. If you identified a mindset block during the episode and would like to work with me one-to-one, you can find out how in the show notes. See you next time.